Okay, so in this video we're looking at calculating pi, or really just understanding what pi, which is this thing here, really is. Because often students ask, what actually is this thing called pi? And in a short video, hopefully you will get a good understanding of what pi is and where it comes from. So before we can do this, though, you've got to check, what the circumference and the diameter are. And just to double check, the circumference is the distance around the outside of a circle, okay? And the diameter is a line that goes from one part of the circumference to the other part of the circumference, and it goes through the center of the circle. Now, what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to go and take the circumference around the circle and lay it flat. So I've just taken the circumference, which is this part here, and I've laid it out flat here. And underneath that, I'm going to put the diameter below it. So you can see here, that's the full circumference, and that is the diameter, and one of the diameters. And I'm going to see how many diameters I can fit into the circumference. So that's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. But you can see I've still got a little bit extra that I need to fill in. And that little bit extra is actually 0.141 of the diameter. So in the circumference, or in any circle, you can fit 3 and a bit diameters. So you can see you've got 1, 2, 3 diameters and a bit, that bit being 0.141 of a diameter, into the circumference. Now, in other words, you can say that the circumference, so this up here, divided by the diameter, is 3 and a bit. So 1, 2, 3 and a bit. Okay, so you can say the circumference divided by diameter is the 3 and the a bit being 0.141, so 3.141. But actually, if you did divide it, it would keep, that decimal would keep going on forever and ever. It doesn't terminate. So you get 3.141592654, and it would just keep on going, and it would never stop. So this number here is one of the most important numbers in maths, right? So the circumference divided by diameter is 3.141592654, which is this thing pi. So pi comes from doing the circumference divided by the diameter of a circle, and that is true for any circle. Okay, so in any circle you can fit 3 and a bit diameters, pi. Nice. So we've just seen, right, that the circumference divided by diameter is equal to pi, and we can write this like this. Okay, so circumference are called c, diameter is d. The circumference divided by the diameter is 3.14, and just remember that 3.14, or the full thing in length, we can call pi. Okay, so circumference divided by diameter, I've just replaced this with pi because they mean the same thing. There we go. Now I want to get c to be the subject of this formula, because I want to get a formula out of this. I want to get c to be equal to something on its own. And to do this, the opposite of dividing by d is to multiply by d. And I do that on both sides. The d's cancel. And I'm left with the c being equal to pi times the diameter. Okay, which I can just write more simply as circumference is equal to pi d, pi times diameter. And this is a really important formula that we're going to be using in later videos. So the circumference of the circle is equal to pi times diameter. And you can also write this a bit differently, because the diameter is double the radius. Okay, you can also replace the diameter with 2 lots of the radius and write it as 2 pi r. So these here are 2 key, well, they mean the same thing, but they're really important equations in maths, but for later videos, right? The circumference of a circle is pi times the diameter, or you could write it, circumference is equal to 2 pi r. And that is it for understanding pi. So hopefully now you have an idea of what pi actually is. And we've also seen in this short video that we can get the circumference of we've actually generated the formula for getting the circumference of a circle. Thank you for watching.